Hi everyone, welcome. FPLMattDay here, and I'm live for my first Game Week 1 stream for the new FPL season. Obviously, I've been producing plenty of content in the pre-season, as you've seen, with shorts, my team selection, my favourite picks, my differentials, my favourite forwards, midfielders, defenders, and all of the different content that there's been. But this is my first live stream for the new season. It is only a Tuesday night here in Australia where I'm based, and people are probably wondering, why am I live at 6 p.m. Melbourne time on a Tuesday for an FPL stream? I will be in the UK on Thursday. I'm coming to the Fantasy Football Fest, so I've had to do my live stream early because I will be in England for this week's deadline. If you are just tuning in on the pre-record and you are new here, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and get your comments in as well, all ready for the new season and Game Week 1, which is upon us. Friday UK time I will use, as I will be in the UK, 6:30 p.m. for that first game between Burnley and Manchester City. If you haven't done as well, check out all of my content on my channel. Plenty of stuff, tips, and everything that's been going on over the last few weeks. But look, we'll jump straight into it. It's going to be very business as usual on the live podcast this season, where there's just going to be plenty of Q&A from anyone that is live in the chat during the podcast. I will answer all of your questions. This isn't the best time for me to podcast, so I might not get too many questions at this time, but hopefully some people jump in. But if not, and you are watching this in pre-record, still get your questions in because I can answer them all the way through to deadline. And I will share screen to begin with. And what I'm going to do is share screen and go through this week's fixtures. I can't wait for this game week. I can't wait for this to start. We absolutely love it. When it's not on, we really do miss it. We get so frustrated with this game, but we all love Fantasy Premier League. I've also missed a lot of my guests and people that come into the comments as well. I absolutely miss those interactions every week, which I've not been able to have as much without these live podcasts. But look, let's go straight into my thoughts on that Burnley versus Man City game. First game on, interesting. You've got a very attacking team now with Burnley. It's not the Sean Dyche Burnley that we had before. Man City on Man City. Look, they've lost some players, but Garvidal's coming in, big signing. The likes of Foden are likely to come in and probably make an even bigger name for themselves with more starts potentially this season. I think City will win this game, though. I don't think it will be easy. I actually think Burnley will score a goal in this one. But I think Man City will have too much in the tank. And I'm going to go with a 3-1 Manchester City win. And my most important players from this fixture and from these teams for Game Week 1 are Haaland, of course, in number 1. Number 2, John Stones, obviously a centre-back at $5.5 million. Sometimes slots into that defensive midfield position as well. And then from Burnley, I'm liking Bayer at $4 million as a squad player, but I wouldn't look to start him for this game week. Let's go into the second game, Arsenal versus Forest. Arsenal are a side that they're getting a lot of people positive reviews. They had a good season last season, finishing second. They made some big signings. Obviously, Declan Rice, most expensive player in British football as well. So a lot of people are very confident in Arsenal this season and their triple ups. For me, the key players are obviously Saka in number 1, Martinelli and Ødegaard. Probably interchange them between 2 and 3. I'd probably say Ødegaard's slightly higher because I think he gets more starts. Martinelli's got more competition with the likes of Havertz and Trossard. As for Forest, still like Johnson, still like Gibbs-White. I think they're good picks. But for now, it's all about Arsenal players in this, as well as Saliba and Gabriel. I think Arsenal will win comfortably on day 1. I'm going to go with Arsenal to win by 3-0. So let's go to Bournemouth versus West Ham. West Ham, a team in a bit of disarray. Bournemouth with a new coach that's come from La Liga. Also got Justin Kluivert, Patrick Kluivert's son, in their side as well. So very, very interesting season ahead for Bournemouth. West Ham, lots going on. New technical director. Haven't been able to make any signings as well. So it's going to be a difficult start, I think, for West Ham this season. I'd certainly be looking to avoid their players for the new season. I think Bournemouth will win this. I'm going to back Bournemouth to win 2-0. I think Kluivert will score on debut. Maybe Billing, good FPL player to come in and score a goal. And then from a West Ham, from their perspective, I can't see too much from them. They've got that young kid, is it November, that's been playing in the pre-season. He might start or he might nick a goal, but I don't think it's looking too good for West Ham right now. Other than that young striker at 4.5 million, I'd probably be avoiding most West Ham players. Bournemouth as well, still keep your tabs on Billing and also on Justin Kluivert, as they are cheap options. But let's go to Brighton versus Luton. Again, a lot of people were talking very favourably of Brighton this season. Did very well last year under De Zerbi. A lot of triple ups going on. Definitely Estupinan, Mitoma, Solly March are probably the best picks for me. A lot of people are talking about João Pedro as well, Lewis Dunk, and Jason Steele as well. So I like all of those picks, but for me, you've got to have Mitoma in there. As for Luton, Morris is potentially a good pick. Obviously, he's been spoken about, as well as Bell, who is a £4 million defender. Let's go on to, and I think Brighton will win as well. I think they'll open the season with a comfortable win. Let's go with 3-0. I think it'll be a difficult start to the Premier League for Luton. Obviously, a lot going on as well, not being able to have a stadium ready for the start of the season. So I think it will be a tricky start for them. Let's go into Everton Fulham. There's a lot of managers expecting bigger things from Everton this season with Sean Dyche, more clean sheets as well. For me, Everton Fulham, bit going on at Fulham in this summer with Mitrovic. Silva wasn't so sure in his future as well. I think Everton will. I think it will be a 1-0. I can see Everton going 1-0, but with all of this extra added time, I can see Fulham maybe nicking one late. Someone like Harry Wilson. I think Harry Wilson's a good pick for Fulham this season. You've still got the likes of Ream as well and Leno, who look like good picks. From an Everton perspective, Pickford, Danjuma could be good options. I know a lot of people are liking Pickford at 4.5. So let's go with 1-1 in this one. Then we've got Sheffield United versus Palace. Newly promoted Sheffield United haven't looked like they've done too much. Palace have lost Zaha, but I really like Eze for this fixture. Also like, the signing, the players like Mark Gahey. He's always pretty handy in FPL, so keep tabs on him. But definitely look to start with Eze. Good run and historical results against Sheffield United as well. So really liking that pick. As for Sheffield United, Bulldog's probably the only one you'd consider 4 million as a potential bench rotation option. But that would probably it for me. I think Palace will win this game though. So I'll go with Palace to open the season with a 2-0 win. And then we've got Newcastle versus Aston Villa, which again, a huge fixture. Aston Villa, very popular now with Unai Emery coming in and the season they had towards the end of last year. Newcastle obviously had a really big season as well, finishing in those Champions League positions. Wilson, Isaac, Trippier, still great picks, but probably not for their starts of the season. It's very difficult. Manchester City as well in game week 2. Playing against Liverpool, I think it is as well in game week 3. So really tricky start for Newcastle. Villa, though, good start after this game. We're looking at Watkins and Buendia, I think are two really good picks. And then also Pau Torres and Tyrone Mings at 4.5 million. So lots of potential in Villa, in particular, that 8 million Ollie Watkins pick. In terms of score prediction, I actually think we're going to see a score draw in this one. So we'll go with a 2-2 draw in this game. And then next, you've got my team, Spurs, playing away at Brentford. Lots to talk about with Spurs and Ange Postecoglou. But if you want to hear more about that, head to Quinton Dunn's podcast, FPL Amateurs of Oz. I appeared on there the other day and I spoke all about Postecoglou and Tottenham on there as well. But as for this one, we'll speak about the key Spurs players. I'll say Harry Kane if he stays, James Maddison, Son, Richarlison if Harry Kane leaves, would then come into that centre forward position. Udogie, someone to keep an eye out on, only 4.5 million and classified as a defender. So keep your eyes on him. I think he'll be guaranteed at that left back. Pedro Porro is also someone to consider. But we could see some rotation with Emerson Royale, so just be careful on that one. So definitely Kane in number 1, James Maddison in number 2, Son in number 3. And then if Kane leaves, I'll put Richarlison up there in number 1 as he will get that centre forward position. As for Brentford, Tony is banned at the moment, doesn't play till January. So keep tabs on Mbeumo and Visser. And then also Ben Mee as well. Haven't seen him picked in too many teams, but Brentford have got a really, really good start to the season. And they're likely scoring this game against Spurs as well. We don't have the best defensive record. Welcome to the stream, James. Hope you're well, mate. Looking forward to hopefully beating you this season after, not having a great year last year. But yeah, to be honest, mate, I can probably see this being 1-1. Maybe Spurs potentially edging it. Brentford, might lose a bit of their edge without Tony. But yeah, 1-1, maybe 2-2, 2-1 Spurs. I do think Postecoglou is going to bring a lot of attacking football to Spurs, which hopefully means we attack games and actually win them early on, because Spurs were such slow starters under Conte. Christian, welcome to the stream, mate. Great to see you back for another season. Obviously a fellow Spurs fan. Let me know your prediction for this game. Any questions as well, just let me know in the comments. I will go with the 2-2 in this one. And if Harry Kane does play and doesn't leave by this game, then I'll back him to score. And I'll back Maddison to be involved with the assists. And then from Brentford, still liking Mbeumo and still liking Visser as well. Let's go on to Chelsea-Liverpool. And then we'll wrap up with Man United versus Wolves. Good to see a few more people coming into the stream now too. Lexic, welcome to the stream, mate. Great to have you back. If any of you've got any questions, get them in the comments. Let me know what your draft team's looking like, all ready for deadline. And if there is anyone in the comments or watching on Twitch right now as well, that's going to be at the Fantasy Football Fest on Friday. Let me know, because I will be in England for that as I fly out from Australia for that tonight. But let's go to Chelsea-Liverpool. This is an interesting game. Obviously, Pochettino is now at Chelsea. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They've sold a lot of players, and they're obviously linked to buy even more players. So they've sold loads. They're going to buy more. I just don't know who's coming and going at Chelsea sometimes. So it's really difficult. But from an FPL perspective, I would have said Nkunku was the pick, but injury, it looks like he's out for a month or two. We've obviously got Jackson that's just been mentioned in the comments. I do think Chelsea will be better 100%. I just can't see him being worse than where they were in that mid-table. And Pochettino he's known to get teams maybe not necessarily playing better straight away, because he didn't do that at Spurs and he didn't do that at Southampton straight away. But eventually, he got them playing good football and he'd get teams on good runs. And he would do that at Chelsea. He's got loads of quality there, lots of good young players, and he prefers to work with young players, which is why Chelsea have probably used lots of young players in the pre-season. So lots of young talents to keep an eye on. Obviously, Nkunku would have been my favourite pick, but now Jackson at 7 mil, I like that pick. Good price. From game week 3 onwards, Chelsea got some good fixtures as well. So definitely worth a gamble. There's not too many good strikers this year, especially if Kane goes. You're really looking at Haaland and Ollie Watkins. And there's not much else outside of that. You could gamble on Jackson, Visser, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But I like the Chilwell pick still. I don't think he's necessary as everyone else is kind of sort of talking about on FPL Twitter. He's still coming off a long-term injury. It's a difficult one. Same as Reece James, who I do really like. I like both of these players, but they are coming off big injuries. So that is difficult. But I do think Chelsea will be better. As for Liverpool, it's difficult with them as well. You've got to, if you're picking Trent, you've got to treat Trent as a midfielder, not just a defender. And he surprises people. He gets goals, he gets assists. He moves into this hybrid position. So I think he's definitely a top pick. Salah as well. You can't go against. We sort of say, maybe let's not go Salah, but he always scores goals. He always pulls the goods. I think Jota's another very good pick as well. If he can get himself nailed into that team early on, only 8 million. And we saw the season before last season how good he can be. Potentially the new signing as well, the Hungarian could be really good. We've got McAllister. It's be interesting to see what he does. He's only 6 million. Definitely worth looking at some Liverpool picks. Darwin Núñez, if he can nail down a place as well. Luis Diaz returning from injury. So Liverpool got some really good options. But I'm going to predict 4-3 Liverpool is a big scoreline. from Leipzig. I'm going to go with 2-2. I think Liverpool will go 2-1 up, and Chelsea will get a late goal in. There's 10 minutes of stoppage time they're talking about adding on, and I think Chelsea will get a draw. One thing Pochettino teams did really well for Spurs in particular was score late goals. They would go to the end. So, that's going to be a really interesting one. We'll do Man United Wolves in a second. I'll bring up some of the comments that have come in. So Christian, Flecken's look really dodgy with the shot stopping, probably 2-2. Yeah, I think it will be, mate. I'd love for us to come out and win on Ange Postecoglou's first game, but the reality is there's going to be a lot of teething problems with Postecoglou. Like, it's a different way of playing for Spurs, for these players, still trying to sort out that defence. So, yeah, it's going to take a while for the team to adjust. Get any questions you've got as well in the comments. I'll go through Christian's draft as well. Let's do Man United Wolves. I can't see anything but a Man United win. Like, Wolves barely done anything in pre-season. Didn't look too good towards the end of last season. Looked pretty poor most of last season as well. A lot of people are tipping them to go down. They've lost Ruben Neves. So I think Man United will win this comfortably, maybe 2 or 3-0. And I'm liking the Bruno Fernandes pick, liking the Rashford pick, liking the Onana pick. I'm not loving it, but I'm liking it. I just think 5 million for a keeper. If you can get a 4.5 million keeper, do that instead. But I still like it. Don't mind Luke Shaw, but probably just those 4 for now. There's a lot of question marks over the likes of Anthony and Sanchez. Christian Eriksen isn't the same Christian Eriksen we saw back at Spurs. So, yeah, for me, 2 or 3-0 to United. And I think Fernandes and Rashford are certainly the key players in this, and maybe one of their defensive assets like Shaw or Onana. Yeah, this is an interesting one, mate, because you look at Onana and you think, are you buying him for the season at 5 million, or are you buying him for Man United's first 6 games because you don't want to buy Luke Shaw for 5.5? Because when I look at United's fixtures, I think Wolves, clean sheet. Spurs away, no clean sheet. Forest home, potential clean sheet. Arsenal, game week 4, I think it is, no clean sheet away. So I look at it and think, okay, what else are we going to get out of Onana that maybe Luke Shaw wouldn't get for 0.5 less? So, yeah, there is that, mate. I think there'll be a lot of people just starting with Onana because of his selection, and it's not the worst thing to just do it, just to have that shield of, everyone's got Onana, I kind of need him as well, because if he gets a big score against Forest, you don't want to miss out. But I do think as we get towards a wild card, we'll probably start looking towards those 4.5 million keepers. I looked at Pickford's fixtures, who's 0.5 less, and he's got a number of games in that first sort of 9 or 10 matches that you can just imagine Sean Dyche teams winning by maybe a goal to nil. And with that in mind, anytime Everton win a game, I think there's a high chance of Pickford getting bonus and save points, which I think Christian, who's in the comments, did mention to me on one of my goalkeeper videos. So, yeah, I think if you're picking him over Shaw, it's worth it. But if you decide you don't want to go any Man United players and you're picking him over a 4.5 million keeper, then I don't think it's worth it, mate. But that's the wrap up of all of the fixtures. Let's go through some of the questions that have come in, and then I'll share some thoughts on my team and some of the early fixtures. So I'll quickly go through. So I'll quickly share screen actually and just go through some thoughts on. Let's go through. Actually, let's go through the questions. We've done all the scores. Let's go through some questions. I've actually got a couple of videos already out with my tier list of all the players. Well, that video is coming out on Thursday, so keep your eyes up for that. I've got a tier list of all my favorite players, and then I've got like goalkeepers and other differential videos as well. So let's go through Christian's team. Current draft: Pickford. I like that pick. Areola seems to be popular because a lot of people are confident he might get the number 1 spot at some stage. Ream. Interesting to know your logic behind Ream. Is it maybe because you didn't want to go for Leno and he's cheap? Gahey, don't mind that. Botman, don't like his early fixtures, but I like his price. Baldock, good sub. I like Maddison. Son, I like, but I probably wouldn't have both him and Maddison. Rashford, I like. Matoma, I like. Eze, I like. Kane, I like, but again, mate, doing like you're gonna have to prepare to remove him if he does go to Bayern Munich in the next week. McAtee, yeah, not bad, mate. I think it's a good squad, mate. Obviously, a big reliance on Spurs, but I know you're a Spurs fan, which I like to see, mate. I wish I had the nuts to put more Spurs players in, mate. But nice squad. So Luis Diaz is in your team. I actually think he'll do well, and I think he'll get pretty much minutes. He's a great pick. So last season, Liverpool beat Saints 9-0. And Diaz got 24 points or 19 points or something crazy. And then he obviously got an injury, and he looked really sharp. So, yeah, I like the Luis Diaz pick. So the issue with drafts, I really like triple Spurs, but I don't think it's wise. Yeah, I agree, mate. I'd love triple Spurs. If I wasn't in so many mini leagues, and if I didn't have such a bad season last season, because the season before I had a great season, maybe I'd probably gamble on more Spurs players this year. But because I had a bad year last year, I'm just going to go very template. James has asked, thoughts on Foden and Silva from City? Foden, to be honest, mate, any City player that isn't that isn't Haaland, it's all just guesswork. Because even last season when I put Ederson in, towards the end of the season, they just dropped him for a game. You just can't trust Guardiola. So, yeah, Foden, there's a lot of potential this season for him to get some explosive scores. But like with any Man City midfielder you pick, what you need to remember is if you pick them and they miss a game, don't be disheartened, because that's what City do and that's what Guardiola does. So you got to pick Foden, say, for 5 matches and expect him to play 3.5 of those games. Don't expect him to play all 5, especially when the Champions League starts and they start rotating. But I think there's some good early potential. Bit strange he didn't play in the Community Shield, but if you can get this Burnley game out of him in game week 2 and 3 and get the first 3 or 4 games out of him, I think you'll get some points. As for Silva, if it's Bernardo Silva, not liking him in FPL right now, mate. I normally really, really rate him. But I think Bernardo Silva, he's a good player, but I think he'd be a wait and see in FPL, mate, this season for now. Tonight's podcast was really just a quick live stream to go through the fixtures, get my thoughts, see if anyone was live to tune in. I know the time's not great for the viewers that watch overseas in England and in Europe, as a lot of people are probably heading off to work or to study. Apologies, it wasn't the best time. These deadline streams will usually be either on deadline or the day before deadline from here on for the rest of the season. Where possible, I am actually away overseas and in England for the next few weeks, so there'll be plenty of shorts. The videos are probably going to be a bit all over the place until we get to game week 4. If there's any last minute questions, get them in the comments. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Hit a like. Stay tuned for my tier list video, which comes out on Thursday night, which will be Friday morning for everyone here in Australia. Or will it be? Maybe it's Wednesday night. Thursday morning in Australia, Wednesday night UK, actually. That's when it's going to be. So if you're in Australia, it'll be Thursday morning and then Wednesday night for everyone in the UK. So I think I've got it scheduled for when I land in London. Thanks, mate. Yeah, really looking forward to it. I'm going to watch Spurs Man United, which is going to be awesome. Going to watch the Championship game on Saturday, Millwall versus Bristol City, which will be interesting. And going to the Fantasy Football Fest on Friday, which is going to be really exciting. So looking forward to that. Christian's just given his rationale on Ream. So he's nailed it and picks up points, but he's come back from injury. Mate, I like that. At the end of the day, I like to see managers that pick players that aren't just the ones you see on Twitter or other YouTube videos and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's nice to see a bit of a point of difference. Thanks, mate. I will. Really looking forward to it. It'll be my first time at the new Spurs stadium. Well, I guess it's still new, but not quite as new because we're about 4 years in now, aren't we? But Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing to go over there. And like I said, if anyone who tunes in after this live is going to be at the Fantasy Football Fest, come and say hello. But look, we'll leave the video there. I know we've got a few people tuning in now, which is great. But unless we get any questions in the next minute or so, I'll look to wrap up. I'll quickly talk through some of my team as well, so people know, even though I'll be doing the reveal on Friday, so stay tuned for my final reveal. But currently, I've got very template. I've still got Haaland, of course, Rashford, Saka, Estupinan. I've gone Saliba right now over Gabriel, and that's because I liked how threatening Saliba looked prior to his injury. And I am also on Onana at the moment, but that might change come deadline. And we've got a comment that's come in. Zero Zaza. Welcome to the stream, mate. I think you might have joined as a subscriber during this pre-season, unless you were in the streams last season, but let me know in the comments, mate. So you've got a dilemma whether to choose Onana, Shaw, Rashford. Shaw, Rashford, Bruno. I'd go Shaw. If you're picking between, if you're so certain on a Man United triple up, you got to go the second option. Rashford, Bruno, attacking upside, and then Luke Shaw covers the defence. I wouldn't have Onana and Luke Shaw. So yeah, option 2 for me, mate. But look, I'll wait it out another 20, 30 seconds, see if any other questions come in. I'll quickly check and see if there's any Twitter news or anything as well that might be useful for viewers. This video was supposed to go to Twitter, but it looks like it has LinkedIn. It has LinkedIn, so there is people on Twitter viewing this. So if you are on Twitter watching this live, then come into the YouTube and get a quick question in before I leave. Two Blues is in. What a legend. Produces so many good shorts. So like I said, if you're watching this on pre-record and not live, go and give him a follow, give him a subscribe. It's not just Chelsea content that he does. He does everything to do with all football teams, all leagues, all transfers and stuff as well. But if you are a Chelsea fan, then it's definitely a page to join as well. And yeah, this is big news. Nkunku is out for months. Wow. Yeah, that's a big shame. And I'll tell you why, it's a big shame for my team, because he was probably going to be my striker with Haaland. So I was trying to find a way to get Salah in my team, and I needed to then downgrade my second striker, and it was probably going to be Nkunku at 7.5. But yeah, now I'm like, I do like Jackson, the look of Jackson at 7 mil. He looks a talent, and obviously he's going to score goals for Chelsea. But yeah, now I'm like, might just go with Visser to start with if I do the Salah draft and do Chilwell as my Chelsea player. Because I think Chilwell has got enough upside attacking wise anyway, because he's just so good when he goes forward. And that'll probably be me for Chelsea players for now, Chilwell, and then it'll be a wait and see from there on. But Nkunku was someone I really liked before the injury, regardless, because I know how good he is from the UCL fantasy, where he just gets points for fun in that game. But yeah, interesting one with Chelsea. We did a quick. We had another Chelsea fan in the comments earlier. Might still be on, James Smith, and we were just having a quick chat. I think Chelsea will definitely improve this year. We've got to keep an eye out on their FPL players. Sterling maybe was one that I was looking at, but now I'm not as keen. Modric, definitely. Modric, Reece James, Chilwell, Colwill at 4.5 million. They're probably my key ones. So, yeah, interesting season. I think Chelsea will improve under Poch. But I think it will be steady progression. I was saying to Chelsea fans in the stream earlier that Pochettino isn't someone who traditionally gets teams up and running quickly. There'll be moments, but it's like any new manager that comes in. But he thrives with youth players and working with youth players. And Chelsea, I think I've said it on your channel like a million times, Chelsea have the best youth system possibly in Europe. I can't think of many better than Chelsea's youth system. The amount of good players there. He's just going to thrive. There's so many good young players. This Maatsen as well that you've mentioned is looking really good. Chilwell definitely keeping an eye on him. Mudryk, 6.5. Like if he can start finding some goals, that's an absolute bargain. Because if Chelsea were back in that top 4 race or even top 6 and we're getting results every week, I'd rather have Mudryk for 6.5 million than someone else or towards the bottom of the league, the mid-table teams. This is a big one. This is a big one if that happens. So we're waiting on Turner to join Forest from Arsenal, and we're waiting on Balogun to join either Palace, or he was also linked with West Ham. But hopefully it's Palace because they need a striker. Like Edouard and Iwu just like can't hit a barn door in FPL half the time. Like never get goals. So if Balogun does make the move, definitely would be my third striker. Because you'd expect it to start and you can rotate him in. I really, really like that pick. Look, I was just seeing stuff. There's a couple of Poch comments coming in. Yeah, look, mate, I think it's easy from a Spurs perspective because the reality is when he come in, we'd lost Bale the season before. Then it was all a bit of a mess with Tim Sherwood, and then Pochettino come in, and we had finished 6th the season before, but he come in, we finished 5th the first year, and got to a League Cup final, which we lost to Chelsea, and then the second season we just went well above expectations, finished 3rd, and then obviously had those other really good seasons. We made, I think, another couple of FA Cup semis, made the Champions League final, finished 2nd. Obviously, Chelsea again beat us to the league. But he gets a lot of hate for not winning a trophy from rival fans and even some Spurs fans. But the reality is the time that he did at Spurs for those 5 years is better than anything we've seen in the last 3 years without him, with the exception of that little period under Conte. But that only lasted 5 or 6 months, really. And the reality is Spurs will never invest enough or do enough as a club. Whenever we're looking like we're going to do something, they never go the extra mile. And actually, Pochettino should have been really probably back. So at Chelsea's, he'll probably get proper back in. And like I said before, amazing youth system at Chelsea, which he'll thrive off. So I think, like Christian said here, I'll be keeping an eye on Chelsea. There'll definitely be players like Poch at Spurs was very notorious for picking players that were almost like his favourites, like Dele Alli, unreal for Spurs under Poch. Look at Dele Alli now, like his drop off is ridiculous. Poch was unreal with Dele Alli, unreal with Eriksen. Really good, obviously, Son, unreal with Kane, helped develop Kane so much. So imagine what he's going to do with all these like young Chelsea players. There's so many of them. There's so much potential there. On the flip side, the other difference is Chelsea are used to winning. They're obviously last 20 odd years, like they're used to winning, and the expectation of the fans is probably, I'm not sure what your expectations are this season, but maybe at least just have a better season and then you'd start looking at cups the year after and stuff. So that could be the only thing is that point. But he comes so close at Spurs, so close, numerous times. And I do think with that extra push from the ownership at Spurs that he should get at Chelsea, which Spurs should have done anyway for him. He actually would have won something. I think if it stayed, he would have won something eventually. So, we'll see. I like that combo. I will say with Ramsdale, if they sign David Raya, I'm not sure if Ramsdale stays number 1, and that's where you could be in a little bit of trouble because you don't want to have to transfer out a goalkeeper. At the end of the day, you will get a wild card though, and still looks like a good keeper. Gallagher. The thing about Gallagher, right? I think he's like I like him as a player, but maybe not as a Chelsea player. I think someone at Palace, he thrives at Palace because he stands out there and like he's a worker and like he was good in FPL a few years ago at Palace, cheap bargain, and he's someone I'm keeping tabs on if he leaves Chelsea. But is he good enough to start for Chelsea like every single week? No, I don't think he is. I agree with you. Like, you know, if Chelsea want to compete for silverware, Champions League places, like Gallagher's just not it. But it doesn't mean he won't be a good FPL asset if he goes to Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Everton. Would probably be good for him under Deitch. Like he's like a workhorse, isn't he? So yeah, there's potential there. But yeah, I don't think he's Chelsea quality, like or like the Chelsea quality that we're used to. Yeah, that is very interesting. That is a very, very good point. Nick Pope under Deitch at Burnley was incredible. Yeah, who were the other keepers, mate? Who were the other keepers? I'm trying to think at Burnley. So I remember Pope was just brilliant. I know they had this other keeper when they first come in the Premier League. Yeah, that's where Pickford could be good at 4.5 million. This is good. We've got a bit of interaction. I was actually going to leave the pod because I'm flying out tonight. But yeah, it's good to just go through a few more questions before I log off. Yeah, I like that, mate. I'm on both. I'm on Haaland right now. I'm on Vissa. I like Nunes, but not Nunes that we don't know is nailed on. Like you can't put Nunes in right now because we don't know if he's going to start. And like the reality is, did all right last season. He had some good scores. His goal record was okay, but yeah, I don't know if there's enough signs to show that he's going to come out and hit the ground running and score a ton of goals. I just don't think there's enough to show that right now. So yeah, I'd avoid him right now. Salah's definitely the best Liverpool attacking option. And then if you go for Trent, you've got to treat him as a midfielder, kind of like what we do with Chilwell as well. We signed Chilwell for Chelsea right now in FPL, not because we think Chelsea are going to keep a bunch of clean sheets, but because we know how good Chilwell is going forward. And then if they do keep clean sheets, it's an absolute bonus as well. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Gallagher. You know what? He probably would be good at Liverpool under Klopp because they just the one thing where I think Poch might like him is because he does press and Poch likes those pressing teams and he likes that way of playing and Gallagher will do that. But sometimes you just get players that like I just feel like there's no turning. Like some fans just don't like, and it doesn't matter what happens. Like fans just aren't going to like him, and Gallagher seems to be one of them at Chelsea right now. Yeah, because he'll get goals and assists elsewhere. Yeah, not Chelsea. Chelsea got plenty of good players to pick from in FPL this season, though, like we mentioned. So it's going to be interesting. But if no more questions come in, we'll look to leave it there. I better get ready to go soon. So I'll give it another 20 seconds. Please give the video a like if you haven't done already. Subscribe if you tuned in and were new. Get any last minute questions in now. I'll give you my captain thoughts actually for game week 1 quickly. So I'm going to say Haaland, just don't even think twice. Do not gamble on not going Haaland. I'll go Rashford number 2 at home to Wolves. And I will go with Saka at home to Forest as number 3. So they're my 3 captains. Differential for the game week. Let's quickly double check the fixtures again. I'll pick a quick differential that I think is going to be good. Let's go with, and this is random, but I'm going to say Danjuma to score on his debut for Everton. And Everton will draw that game 1-1, but I think Danjuma will score on his debut. Just get this random feeling that will happen. Welcome to the stream, IBK Max. I hope you're good. Still unsure at the moment. So Thomas Frank apparently is come out and told the press that he just took him off as a precaution, and he should be okay for the first game. But at the same time, with FPL game week 1, do you want to be gambling on players that are flagged? Probably not. But he's saying he should be okay. It was a precaution. What I'd do is just wait till Thursday. Obviously, deadline in the UK is Friday. I'll probably wait till Thursday, check out some Brentford training pictures on like the Instagram or their website. And if he's training, then I'd do it. All right, let's do a quick rank of some 6.5 million mids whilst I'm here. So I'm going to pull up. Let's go midfielders. All right, let's do it. Let me do it by price. For those that have been watching the content over the preseason, they probably know who my number 1's going to be. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it based on... Which one should we do? Okay, I'm going to go Mitoma number 1 at 6.5 mil for Brighton. I'm going to go Eze at number 2. I was saying this to quite a few people. I look at Eze as 10 goals last season, I think it was 5 assists. I can see him getting more goals, especially without Zaha taking pens, and I think he'll go to another level. Eze is a very, very good footballer. So Mitoma, Eze, Mbeumo, without Tony for that first 6 months. Because if you look at last season, on his history, 9 goals, 9 assists isn't too bad. And those goals will go up, I think, as he leads the line. And he's in his, 3rd season in the Prem, so I think he'll get better. And we'll do a 5th one. 5th one, I'm going to go Solly March. Good Brighton team, consistently plays most weeks. De Zerbi loves him. Good start to the season as well. So that's what I would say, mate, is my ranking. So we've got Mitoma, Eze, Mbeumo, March, and let's do one more. We'll do just 6.5 mils. We'll go Mbeumo, March, Mitoma, Eze. And then you're looking at Modric. I'd probably just have to put 5th. 5th, I might go Harvey Barnes in 5th. I think he's always quite an interesting player in FPL, especially if he gets the starts at Newcastle. And they're a decent side, so I'll probably put Barnes in 5th. And then I'm going to give a shout out in terms of the 6 million category to Buendia from Aston Villa. Really sharp in pre-season. Villa, I think, will go to another level this year. So liking the potential of Buendia in the 6 million category. And anytime, mate, thanks for tuning into the stream. And last one, I was thinking about putting Saka or a keeper at first to be captain, but then I saw almost everyone put Haaland as captain, so I don't think it'll do much damage. Got to be Haaland, mate. Like, there's this stat going around about him not scoring in 6 games. I'm not sure if that includes friendlies or not, but one of the games was the Champions League final. The other game was the FA Cup final. 2 huge games. Not many big players score in finals. They're either defend set pieces or pens and that type of thing. So, and I think, was it 6-0 City beat Burnley last season in the FA Cup? Haaland got a hat-trick. I think I did a 3-1 score prediction for City. I think Burnley will score. They'll play their game, but I can just see Haaland grabbing a goal or 2. He's just brilliant. Bell's good, mate. He's 4 million. And you've also got Bayer from Burnley at 4 million, mate, and Baldock as well at 4 million. Morris as well, 5.5 million attackers, not bad. And last one from IBK Max. Is it worth keeping a premium spot in midfield? I'm doing Salah to KDB. I like that, mate. I've not seen many people talk about De Bruyne, so I actually like that move, mate, especially with City's fixtures. I think it's worth it, mate. Or, alternative option, if Kane stays and you've already got Salah, you could downgrade Salah in game week 3 for even a McAllister if you want to keep Liverpool coverage, and then upgrade one of your strikers to Kane. Kane then has Is it Burnley, Sheffield United? He's got some really good fixtures in that first bit. So I think 3 green fixtures in a row, followed by Arsenal, who he scores against a lot, Brighton, who he scores against a lot. And then he's got some really good fixtures. So, yeah, I'd definitely say it's worth it, mate. But look, we'll leave it there. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. As I mentioned before, give this stream a like, subscribe if you're new here. Get any comments in. Last one from PSB. Welcome to the first stream of the season. It's early this week, mate, because I'm flying out tonight to the UK. So, I'll be at the old Fantasy Football Fest. So great to see you in, mate. Looking forward to chatting FPL and captain picks with you throughout the season. And thanks for tuning in. Great to have a newcomer to the stream. These streams will normally be at deadline or a day before deadline, but a bit earlier this week, mate. But stay tuned on the channel for all of the content comes in. I'm FPLMattDay. I'll see you all in the next one. As I mentioned, there is a tier video coming out with all of the players ranked from avoids to must-haves for the new season. So keep an eye out on the channel for that. And I will see you all in the next one. Good luck for game week 1. Good luck for the new season. And if you are watching this on pre-record and you've got any other questions, get them in the comments. And I'll see you all soon.